So it's been a little more time than I will ever admit to anybody. But and IKEA chem-angle sensor plugs ready to swap over so that I got everything all plug and play ready to go. This is the thermostat and thermostat housing, and for this is the sensor that I thought would be in a different place, of course, because my old one was, and then this one, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's into the thermostat housing and where the inlet to the motor is, so it's reading, of course, correct. It was very interesting. This is a straight pipe versus what it was before, as you may or may not notice. But so this is the exact one off of my Eclipse. It didn't change position. It didn't move. I didn't do anything. I left it because it was I changed it a while ago. So it was very interesting to find that this pipe, the straight pipe, lined up perfectly with this, even though this block, the 4G64, is a mildly different layout. I mean, there are some differences that I didn't originally anticipate. Of course, I'm sure with a little more research and whatnot, I would have been able to figure that out. Hi, kitty. I know. Yeah, you're a sad face. So, I've started to just kind of put these on just so I can kind of get the belt situated in a way that I know what's going on. And the one thing I've definitely I'm gonna have to do is a different size belt than the Hyundai Kia, because it changed where one thing aligns up. So, actually, by the way, I bought these online wrong. Picked these up at the junkyard just because I was looking for these fucking bolts. This bolt is impossible to find. These little things like this bolt to get in and connect these up with the cams was one of the harder things. And then, of course, you have to think about everything. So, in truth, in the future, I wouldn't buy a rebuilt cylinder head. I would instead go to the junkyard and buy the full cylinder head with everything. Because right now, what I didn't do when I picked up this valve cover was on that same car was the air intake manifold, and this air intake manifold is different than the one than my Mitsubishi. Funny, you know, should have fucking figured that out. But especially with this right here, this little pipe, that's very different. So I mean, I didn't want to go and try to do something ghetto and make it like not work. I want to get the thing that meshes up with this nice and flush and flat and all that, and that would be nice. So the thing is, what changed, which getting back to what I was just saying, so I just put it in all these guys, and I just tried to put it all together. And I actually, to double check that I knew what I was doing and I had everything right, I actually bought the cover, the plastic cover for the Hyundai block to see what the difference between them would be and to see if it fit. And all the bolt holes and everything actually line up. The only difference was it had a opening nipple kind of area to relieve the spot where this nut is, but it was up here. I keep flipping off the camera, don't I? It's up here. So the belt itself would not have to extend this low. It's like its bottom is like here, and then it tags into this one, right? So now this is, I just need extra length, as well as like a tensioner that goes up here I haven't put in yet. I'm kind of thinking about it and how that's going to work. Then of course it's all your auxiliary belts and your starter, and I did these, this I should say. I put these in, you know, the cog, the bolt, you know, and the belt, and that's exactly what it should be in my limited knowledge. So we'll see what goes on with that, but basically, okay, so 2.0, 2.4 liter, this cylinder head, in this block, very hard to find at most junkyards. So most of the time you'll see it's a 1.8 to 2.0 rather than 2.0 to 2.4 liter. And that's a real bitch when you're junkyard looking and everything looks the goddamn same. This one is, there are divergences that you over time you kind of develop a working knowledge of what it looks like when you're in there, and I can't tell you how many times I pulled apart a car that was the wrong thing, and you can't really tell until you pull it all apart, and that's kind of bullshit. But so all of this is pretty stupid proof. Boom boom, you know. I mean, there's on everything. There's a little notch in a thing. There's a dot and a coinciding. Everything works perfect. Everything makes perfect sense. It's very, very easy. That's why I've been sticking with Mitsubishi, because everything just makes sense to me, and that's kind of rare when it comes to vehicles and working on vehicles. So unless you're a goddamn expert, but I am not. Meow meow. This is what it's like. Cats. Demands. So, air intake manifold, throttle body, piping. This is wrong. I painted this because this was the Eclipse mount, so I painted it to match because I'm awesome. Of course, I chingadera it messing around, and then when I realized it wasn't going to work anyways, I kind of got a little rough on it, I guess. Be more careful with your stuff if you want to do coating, painting surfaces. This is good stuff. I know. Shush. You. Shush. Last things. Well, I mean, there is a little bolt in here that the old pipe that went here had a little crabber and a thing, but of course because this is changed location, I'm wondering whether or not I should leave this bolt here, grab something to it, maybe a strap, you know, just one of those bands, metal bands that you could wash her up on this guy and then tag it in there and then loop it on here. But honestly, I just glued the shit out of it on this side and of course on this side here, but not to be excessive. I know that there's a O-ring in there, right? But I figure a little extra love ain't gonna hurt anything. Kind of funny, I didn't even know this was gonna be orange, but you look up here, I got an orange gasket. That is a definite unintentional, you know, thing. But you gotta love orange and purple. Kind of looks a little red in there, but to me it's as orange as this is. But so this is the straight pipe. This is the old block down there. So these are, you know, my air intake. It's a very interesting opening, because I mean I figure this right here is like, you know, but it's got to coincide. So get the air intake manifold, get this thing buttoned up. Now that I got this, I mean I may have to measure for a different belt, just to change it, because I know that flipping on the one right now, just messing around, it just seems like I wouldn't even be able to put the tensioner in there, which of course goes in somewhere. And here's another point of a bearing. But next steps, you know, like everything's gonna take longer than you expect. Everything. And if you're not prepared to be like frustrated with yourself and like how you feel stupid and all that bullshit, then you should not be messing around with your own motor, and hand it off to someone who gets paid to do so. Just expect to put a lot more money into it. I don't really have that option for a multitude of reasons, but I also like learning. Learning is something that I enjoy. And this alone has taught me years of knowledge, years of usable knowledge that I can walk around with the rest of my life, just because I decided I'd like to rip apart my car, because I have it, and because I can't make money out of it unless it is something else, and everything else in the car is very nice, actually. I've been building it, nice and dusty. Yeah, that's what happens when you haven't been working on it too long. But crazy enough, this Plastidip coating on it has been saving me from trouble. Honestly, there's been a few times when things have fallen, and the Plastidip has saved the coating of the paint. Which is cool. I'm debating whether or not I want to take the carbon fiber hood and paint it Plastidip as well, to actually save the carbon fiber from aging from the sun. Because if you ever see those guys go around, it looks really good for a while, and then like over time it turns yellow, and I just hate those. Like where it's like it just looks like you just don't take care of your stuff. Even if they're waxing and polishing, the sun will literally just bleach it, you know, and it'll change colors. So I'm considering making that carbon fiber hood all match, because I'm going to repaint the whole car again, because the more you got on there, the better it is. And honestly, cool thing is reflectivity is a very notable thing, but once you go to the flat paints, it's interesting. You'll notice a divergence, but we'll leave that for some other kind of topic. Oh, hi. Oh, are you gonna yeah, thanks. Yeah, because it's all about you. I know. The whole world will know it's all about you. Well, on that note, as this man climbs my leg, empty hole, a lot of things not going, you know, as good as they could. But I enjoy learning, and I've learned so much from this, and this will be my final venture. This is the last thing you need on this before it can go back in there, and we'll figure out what the fuck is going to happen, if it's going to become the race car of my dreams and make me some money, which is the end goal. But you know, it's crazy how much bigger this motor looks now that it's all together out here. Because I had already pulled off the cylinder head way long time ago before I even removed the motor out of the car, because I like to do things backwards. Yeah. So, oh yeah, kind of cool note, this is getting long, kind of cool note is, this is where my oil, obviously filter, is. But I have an engine oil intercooler now, and it actually has a relocator kit for the filter. So I'm going to adapt it from here, move this, and decide where I'm going to put it in the engine bay. I think it would be smarter to leave it off, or I mean like this, until I put it in the engine bay, and then I'll decide how it's gonna work out and where it's gonna live. Because it would be cool to have it at a spot that you could actually change your oil filter without having to dump all the oil in your system. And if you can do that, I was told by a machinist guy, a very, very knowledgeable man, that engineer, not machinist, an engineer, who basically said if you just change the filter on your oil twice as often, you could actually take the longevity of your oil up and not change out all the fluid for an extended period of time. And that, to me, is very smart. So if I can relocate this filter to a higher point than the system, I could change this and not actually even lose any oil to the system, especially because I can clamp the hose that is going to it and from it, and block off the flow, which is, you know, another neat thing. Of course, an oil intercooler is basically same idea as the air intercooler. You know, it flows the fluid through a radiator that gets air rushing through and past it, and it cools it. And the number of passes that a oil intercooler has kind of like lets you know how effective and efficient it will be at doing its job. I think the one I have is like over 9 passes, 7 or 9 passes, something like that. It's not huge, but that's really good for something that never had done something like this. So I think that's a really nichey thing, and there's a little secret going on with that I think no one else has done. I'm sure someone else has done it, but no one else is talking about it, and I'm going to see. I won't tell you now, but this is getting long. But we'll see if it works out with my next little bit, and that's kind of the cool little experiment. Thank you, buddy. I know. Is if this works out, it may be something that I'll continue to do in the future, and it'll be kind of a little signature of mine, but my engine builds. We'll see. Alright, that's a grand shot of nothing. Much love, and you have yourself a great day.